What is the most NSFW thing you have witnessed at a party or bar? Walked into the ladies' restroom at a bar and got to see a woman doing a line off of a gentleman's D. A line of women giving blowjobs in full view of the entire bar. When one guy finished, another guy would sit down, and she'd go right back to work. A dance competition where, for each consecutive round, you had to remove a piece of clothing. Some people took off their jackets. Some people stripped down to their underwear. Of course a few people had shown the goods. And then there was Jennifer, who threw her DDDDs proudly to the wind, ran all through the crowd with her bottoms as the centerpiece of her dance, shaking them in people's faces, shouting, "Look what my wife bought me. Do you like my new titties?" Jennifer was quite drunk. Jennifer's wife did not look happy. I used to go to raves in my teenage years. I've seen a few cuddle puddles devolve into straight up orgies. Biggest one I've seen was probably like 25 people. Well, I am a food delivery driver. I delivered to a bar where, upon entering, I saw a man vomit hard into the face of another man. The man who was vomited on then walked up to me, paid for his meal, and I left. Maybe not NSFW, but probably NSF lunch. Walked in on what I think was a DIY abortion at a kegger once. I was looking for the keg and opened the wrong door to see a naked girl crying on a bed and some guy bending a wire coat hanger. I told the homeowner and he kicked them out. Never saw either of them again. I also watched a drag queen beat up 3 or 4 cowboys when they tried to steal the keg from his birthday party. He was wearing a sequin dress and high heels when it happened. Watched a fresh needle mark junkie Australian stripper attempt the 3 ping pong ball show with pool balls on a pool table, and while straining to pop the last ball out, it all over the pool table and burst into sobbing tears. These 2 dudes got into a fight and they really went for the belt. The fight literally took place in every room of this house and wound up outside. Well, they wound up rolling over the mailbox and knocking it down. When they got up, one guy says, "Hold up, I feel like I got a piss, and my side really duckin' hurts." He turns around trying to see his SID and we all see the mailbox is stuck to him. Then it hits us all at once. Dude was impaled by the mailbox pole. A bigger girl in a skirt wanted to do a keg stand. So a couple guys raised her legs up and her skirt did what skirts do in that situation. She didn't have any panties on and there wasn't anything there I wanted to see. Still looked. I was a bouncer and walked in on a woman going down on another woman in the bathroom stall. Last week I saw a dude with a lazy eye and a Metallica shirt finger bang a woman he had just met. Totally consensual. Not at all subtle. I was their bartender. Years ago a dude opened an adult webcam on the patio during lunch. We unplugged the Wi-Fi. I'd like to say these are rare events, and I'd like to think I work at respectable places. Both can't be true. Saw the guy get disemboweled and proceed to beat the living it out of the guy who did the cutting, with only one arm. The other one was being used to hold his guts in place. Maybe not the NSFW content you were looking for, but it was NSFW. During Fleet Week several years back, while out at a bar with some sailors, a friend of mine pulled out a guy's D under the table we were sitting at, slid over to him, pulled up her skirt, sat on his lap, and put it inside of her. I could tell something weird was going on, but I didn't realize the extent of it until we got back to the car and she told me she had met the guy maybe 2 hours before. It was a combination of being extremely drunk, having super low self-esteem, and a possible personality disorder. Kind of a mild one, but I saw a dude get thrown out of a club because he kept getting his ass out, like he was wasted, and he'd head out onto the dance floor, start dancing, then slowly, but surely, pull his pants down at the back and expose his ass, and keep dancing. Multiple times. The bouncers pulled him aside, and I assume said, "Hey, can you not get your butt out?" But after the dart I wanna say, 4th time, they'd had enough, walked over, forcefully pulled his pants up and dragged him out. I mentioned it to a girl I knew who worked there a while later. She said apparently he came back later that week, after telling the bouncers he'd be good, got wasted again, and decided a second unveiling of his buttocks was in order. They banned him after that. I do remember though, one of the girls I was there with saying, "Wow, I wish I had that much confidence in my ass." I was kicking it at college area bar one evening when two drunk college girls staggered in. One of the girls was celebrating her 21st birthday. At first they started overtly making out in a booth. Then after having a few Long Island iced teas, the birthday girl's friend sat the birthday girl up on the bar and proceeded to remove her pants while the birthday girl took off her shirt and bra. The friend climbed on top of the birthday girl, who was now lying on the bar wearing only socks and panties, and started alternately kissing her mouth and licking and sucking on her nipples. She then inserted her right hand into the birthday girl's panties and started fingering her, as the bartender took out his camera and casually snapped a few pictures. He leaned over to us and nervously said, "This definitely is not legal." Girl and boy holding hands. I did a bump of coke off a stripper's butt while working in the kitchen at a bar. Don't know who brought the two girls, but I was frying up some wings and some dudes were smoking a joint with them in the kitchen behind me. Industrial range hood sucks up all the smoke really well. One of them says, "Hey, turn around," and there she is leaning over the counter with a white line on her butt cheek. How could I say no? That was a really fun job. Too bad the bar shut down 6 months after I started. It was bound to happen, but I do miss it. A gay club called The Cock in New York City. Had just moved here for college. Roommate was desperate to go. We walked in. It was dark and crowded and bathed in red lighting. Walking through the crowd, I get to the back and I see a fleshy mob of men just out relentlessly ducking. My innocence was broken that day. I turned around and literally ran out. I was awake in a room while two people ducked and they thought I was asleep. I was not. My brother-in-law demonstrating how he wears a donut. Girl at our final party in our old place was offering free sex to anyone who wanted it in our bathroom. For almost 2 hours she let tons of people have a sex with her. Had a huge like outside the door. She wasn't even that hot. Everyone was trashed. I once witnessed a man take it out of a bar's first floor window onto a Rolls Royce parked in the alley below. I used to be a bar manager at a nightclub. We had a number of really dumb things happen, shockingly enough. 1. Two guys were having sex on the dance floor, but lying down on it, and believe me, I wouldn't want to be down on that surface. Our DJ didn't realize it and blasted the smoke machine, which one of the nozzles was directly in front of the two. The plume of smoke jetted out and it looked like it was coming from the asses of the guys. I helped the doorman throw out the amorous couple to a tirade of "I didn't even finish, and you are clearly homophobic that you won't let us duck on your dance floor." That night the floor was definitely more sticky and required all the bleach. 2. Though men's toilets are always pretty grim, it's the ladies that is the most disgusting when something happens. One lady went and took a bit, ran out of toilet paper and decided that she should use her underwear to clean off and attempted to flush the whole sorry mess. However, as nasty as that was, another lady went in and somehow got some more toilet roll, or she was just carrying some, and took a second dump on top of the original mess. On trying to flush, she overflowed the toilet and caused a horrifying mess to cover the floor. I personally spent a good hour cleaning that mess up, including putting on long gauntlet style gloves and pulling the first girl's underwear from the toilet tube end to allow the mess to drain. Those two I can remember from the top of my head. Drinking by a bonfire during a really nice summer evening. Lots of mutual friends just yapping and laughing about stuff. Bit later into the night, one of our friends who sat on the grass beside his pretty sober girlfriend is a little too drunk, pushes her over and pulls her shorts off to the side, then proceeds to give her oral right there in front of everyone. Few people are like, "Whoa," sorta cheer, then awkward silence. She sorta just pushed her bangs back from her forehead and sighed, waiting for him to stop. You could tell she dealt with that sort of thing all the time. Felt really bad for her. Not NSFW, but really funny. So we were in this huge group of 35 guys having our school's first reunion. Most people got more smashed than they would be proud of. A friend of ours, chugged a drink but ended up spitting it back in the glass along with a little puke. He left his mug and went to freshen up. Another friend spotted the mug and thought it was a free drink. Picked it up and drank it. Made a weird face citing the odd taste and walked off. Didn't have the heart to tell him that he just had someone else's vomit. I used to go to a lot of rave type scenes in the late 90s, early 2000s. Drugs were rampant, E&K particularity, so it wasn't uncommon to see people ducking and doing drugs right out in the open. Now I used to DJ fetish parties. So I saw a lot more crazy things there, but there you expect that kind of stuff to happen. Oh boy, do I have a doozy. I'm 18 years old, visiting my friend at Ottawa. We decide to go out that night with some of her friends, so we cross the bridge into Hull, Quebec, where the drinking age is 18. There used to be a club called Addiction that was known for being disgusting and trashy, but we're 18 so nobody cares. As we walk in, I tell my friend I have to go to the washroom and walk off on my own to join the line for the ladies' room. A grown-ass man appears out of nowhere with his fist cocked back, screaming at me if I wanted to fight him. I politely decline the offer and run off to my friend, completely traumatized. I should add this is my first time at a club ever. After shaking off my unfortunate first impression, I begin to scan the room looking for somewhere to sit for a bit while we wait for our other friends. To my left I see padded bench seating with an abnormally large crowd around it, cheering. I move to get a better look and I realize it's a semicircle of frat boys screaming and cheering on one of their bros, who is standing facing the bench with his back turned to the semicircle. There, in front of main bro, is a girl, laying on her back on the bench, dress hiked up to her tits, spread eagle, while this douche canoe is going to absolute pound town on her, and she sounds like she's having the time of her life. His friends were cheering him on and watching him duck a girl in a dirty club, and that, my friends, is the first and last time I ever went to Addiction. TLD, a girl spread eagle on a bench, guys ducking her brains out, his bros are in a semicircle behind him cheering him on. I've seen some things. One fight I saw the guy smash a beer bottle not over his head but in his face. It gouged a chunk of cheek off, like an inch below his eye. At a party once, a couple demonstrated what sounds is. I was not expecting that, nor did I expect to learn about chastity devices. At a high school party, the girl hosting it blew her dog. Take your pick. There's a house that I've gone to a few times for parties, and they have a bowl of bananas in the dining room that seems to always cause a contest to see how far everyone can get a banana down their throat. Dated a gothic girl few years ago. Went to several gothic parties. Saw a lot of NSFW and disgusting stuff, but the highlight had to be a random conversation about Michael Jackson's death with a girl who had a decent amount of sperm in her hair. Her boyfriend, or WE he was, stood next to her singing Billie Jean, and my GF back then blazed it on the other end of the room, thinking I had a great time making new friends. Was at a Halloween party when I walked into the bathroom to find the everyone's stereotypical handsy gay friend sucking the cock of some barely conscious guy. So doubt sexual assault. Yeah, that night took a turn. Either two people ducking in the middle of the dance floor at a nightclub, or me and my boyfriend ducking in the middle of a room with like 20 people in it, who as far as I'm aware were either asleep or in the middle of their own hookups. My parents were invited to my aunt's adult costume party. Babysitter pulled out at the last minute. Q3 under 10s in Halloween costumes relegated to the downstairs living room. Eventually I, Toy Story's Woody, have to go upstairs to go to the loo. During the search for which I swing open a door to Catwoman being reamed from behind by the 90s favorite abomination, Mr. Blobby. My class of high school seniors rented out a bar to have a pre-graduation party. Legal drinking age is 18. Two classmates, guy and girl, got drunk and ducked on stage. At a music festival, I witnessed a naked woman standing on top of a motorhome, urinate onto a group of people walking by. It was during the day, in front of a large crowd of people. In the university town I lived in, there was a bar that was notorious for how dirty it was. The guys would be too lazy to go to the toilet, so instead they'd just unzip while standing at the bar counter and piss against it. Maybe not NSFW, but definitely the worst I've seen at a bar. Someone climbing a ladder while drunk with nobody supporting the bottom on a tile floor. Other people have more interesting lives than me. Girls going down on each other, or a girl ducking a guy in a hot tub. Bar in Korea. They played TV of the most random it, but one day, it turned to hardcore porn and no one that worked there noticed for a good 30 minutes. Strip bar in Philly where a girl walked on the bar naked and picked up beer bottles with her V, and then the guys drank out of said beer bottles, then tipped her. Don't tell anyone, but I once saw a woman dance provocatively. My boss at the escort agency I worked at threw 2 parties a year. A boat party in the summer and a Christmas party. They were insane. They were for blowing off steam and promotion. She hired a photographer and videographer to record them. Bought us all lingerie and 6 toys. Had an open bar. Tons of E and Coke. And photographed filmed the results. I saw and was involved in some crazy it. The highlights included an orgy of all girls, me making another girl squirt on a beach, me being filmed on the same beach, naked, standing up and pissing, a group lap dance for the owner of the club that we rented that devolved into one of the girls starting to blow him, 2 of my co-workers going to town on a huge double-ended dildo, 3 girls ducking the super shy new girl who turned into a 6 crazed maniac when drunk, everyone walking around in lingerie or naked, my boss squatting on a champagne bottle and getting about halfway down. It was all bad. Dude. My boss eventually quit doing drugs and stopped throwing the parties, though. They were super expensive to host. She said that typically spent about 6 grand on each party, but we made tons of money from the business they brought in. And the videos and webcam booth that was always set up in the back room. Edit. Not sure why my feeble attempts at formatting failed. Duck it. Do swing clubs count? Other than that, titties. Lots of titties. With the tiniest bit of encouragement. A lot women will show them to the crowd. Went into a party that the rugby club was throwing my freshman year of college. Long story short, there was a dude in the middle of the dance floor in a basement getting blown by a chick while everyone was cheering them on. His friends high-fiving him every few seconds. Eventually everyone got bored of it so started dancing around them. I just remember the chick coming up, wiping her mouth off, getting in front of him, turning around, and lifting her skirt up. I noped out of the area right after. To this day that memory is basically filed as so college in my brain. I sometimes use it to describe how college can be like in the States to people I meet from around the world that ask how university is here haha.